Good morning, everybody. Kurt Borchardt, Artisanal Brew Works. I have a little video on what is craft beer. Gotta get my clicker working. So it's akin to the question, what is natural food? In the end, what I want you to take away from this is it doesn't matter about definitions. If you like the liquid, buy it. So if you do a Google search, this is what you get. You get this, I'm going to put on my laser pointer. You get this definition here, a small brewery. Well, then, the question would be, well, what's a small brewery? So there's a organization nationwide called Brewers Association, and they have a website, craftbeer.com. Feel free to go look at it. What it has on there is the definitions, and it goes into what's American craft brewery is. It's small, it's independent, and it's traditional. So small being that, it has certain production limits. Independent ownership, it can only be owned by like 25% of some other, or less than 25% of a, some other company that meets their definitions, which is really confusing. I'm going to show you that in a second. And then traditional, and basically it comes down to flavored malt beverages like Zima. Sorry, dude. They're not traditional, so they can't be called craft. So this is my brewery here. It's a 10-barrel brewery. This area where I'm circling my laser pointer, which is really dang cool, that makes 310 gallons of a batch, which is 10 barrels. And these are the fermenters. So a batch of beer takes about 8 to 10 hours to make, which is kind of standard. It doesn't matter like how big or small your brewery is. It's going to be an 8 to 10 hour day. So I make 10-barrel batches. So one of these fermenters that you're seeing, that's the top of the fermenter, that's one batch. I do have a new fermenter. Now it's 20 barrels, so what I can do is I can make 2 batches in a day and fill that, which is a long day, but obviously that makes us quite happy. So let's just look at like this definition of small. So it's 6 million barrels per year, and if you take into account my brewery, so what would that, how many times would I have to run my brewery in a year? Well, I'd have to do 600,000 batches in a year. I'd have to do 1,643 batches per day. I would have to do 68 batches per hour, or roughly a batch a minute. Yikes. So it really comes down to what is small. If you're on the International Space Station, you're looking down at the Earth like this. Hey, a mile is pretty small. If you are walking on Earth somewhere, a mile might be kind of long. If you're an ant, a mile's huge. So it's all relative, right? Now this independent thing, less than 25% is owned by a member that is not a self-craft brewer. So this is where there's all kinds of innuendos and tricks to get around this issue. And I'm going to give you an example. So Ommegang, they're owned by Duvel. Now Ommegang makes awesome beer. Duvel makes awesome beer. Do I buy them and drink them? Yes, I love them. I actually go to Ommegang every year to camp out and hang out. I love Ommegang. So this is nothing to say Ommegang's bad at all. It's just confusing to me as a person when I see that less than 25% has to be owned by someone that's not a self-craft brewer. But I would think of Duvel being that they're foreign, that they're kind of not a craft brewery. That's just kind of me thinking. So the way I understand it is Duvel made a company in the United States called Duvel USA, and so that kind of got around the rules. Hey, I don't understand it. So really, to me, is it clear as mud? Again, it doesn't matter as long as the liquid is good. It doesn't matter about these stupid definitions. What I can do, though, is I can tell you what being a craft brewery means to artisanal brewers and to me personally. We're a New York State farm brewery. So what that means is 20% of our inputs have to come from New York State. And what that means is for us is we know our suppliers on a first name basis. This is Colin right here. He's one of the fellow co-owner and brewer. I'm the other co-owner and brewer, and he's with Bob. Now Bob has a farm out in Buffalo. He provides a lot of our grains. We also buy a lot of our grains from Convergence Craft. They're in Albany. So we're in Saratoga Springs, is where our brewery's located, and we buy our stuff from Albany as well. Now hops, that comes from all over the state. Hops is a little more tricky. right now, sometimes these hops can get, like what happened this year, they can get some blights or molds and mildews because it's a very wet June. So our real local supplier, we weren't able to get any hops from because they all were bad. But we do get a lot of our hops from a gentleman named Chris, and he's down on the southern tier. We get a lot of our malts from Convergence Craft, Chris, and here's Bob from Buffalo area. Now, my one bad joke, 20% of our inputs have to come from New York State. My bad joke of the day, and then I'm done, I think, is 100% of our water comes from New York State. So another part of supporting local is I have to obviously buy stuff for my brewery. The cans, Ball Metal, they're literally if I really could throw far, I might be able to hit their plant with a rock. They're about a quarter mile away from me. The label, the can label, was designed by my friend Rich, who owns Shannon Rose Design right here in Saratoga Springs. The tap handle, the wood part, was mass produced by Zanetti Millworks in Greenfield, New York, and the artwork that's actually printed on. We've done a little rebranding and we've got to mass produce our handles now. That was done by a guy named Keith, and he has a small print shop in Malta, New York. So to me, when what being craft is for me personally is you're buying local, and what you're doing is you're not only supporting me, you're supporting other businesses that I need to rely on, and you're supporting something like my tap room, these folks here. What you're doing is you're supporting a New York State farmer one glass at a time. And on that, I say cheers.